Hello! Welcome to a ghost walkthrough of Bad Debts. Now, I've ghosted this mission a number of times over the years, but I haven't been able to get all the pickpockets in it until very recently. There are two archers in the mission who I thought were impossible to pickpocket, until klatremus made it a ghost challenge in his run of Bad Debts, indicating that it was actually possible. So I will incorporate passing that ghost challenge, which is challenge number 58, I believe, into this run, and this way show you how to get all the pickpockets in the mission for ghost. So let's begin, and let's read the briefing. Sometimes you are so down on your luck, you have to take the smallest job, grab the slightest opportunity to stay afloat. I suppose it's better than picking pockets in Stone Market or breaking into warehouses, but when I moved into Downlock Quarter, at least I imagined I was going somewhere. An apartment in an old fortress, right across a watch station where no one would look for suspected criminals, and a series of nice heists. I almost forgot about the ominous stuff the keepers were sending me. Guess they still think I'm going to change my mind about their order. Unfortunately, money has become tight lately. My landlord, a greasy little opportunist, found out about my trade in a moment of carelessness. Now the rent has doubled, and he is constantly dropping hints about the risks of sheltering one of my kind. What is more insulting, he now fancies himself an art collector, buying precious objects from the bonus he extorts from me. For all I know, he may be buying stuff I stole myself. Even with all the shortages, he drinks the best wine and regularly dines at a fancy nearby establishment. He is a thief like me, but a better one. Little risk, steady income. While a few months ago, I was thinking of establishing a nice little retirement fund, I now owe him money, more than I could get with a few nights of thieving. In these circumstances, even a job from Thieves, a diminutive and high-strung chap who gives others tips for a cut of the profits, was a godsend. Thieves had given me wrong tips before, and after the last one, involving a supposed coin stamping business operated by some rich notable, I refused to waste more time and money on his promises. This time, at least, the offer seems genuine. Apparently, a rich usurer going by the name of Marcus has lent little Timsy more money than he could conveniently pay back, and he wants his letter of debt stolen before the guy can collect. Appears easy enough. Marcus lives in a rambling old house right here in Downlock Quarter, and although the front gate guard is heavy, there seem to be other ways in, through his store by the canal, or a balcony overlooking a statue of the master builder. While I'm out, I might as well visit the neighborhood for some easy lucre. The people living here in Downlock may not be the richest, but at least they don't have enough to spend on serious security measures outside joining a protection racket. The best place to start is Short Lane, just next to my apartment. I have a friend who can let me in after sundown for a few coins. It would be nice to get out of the debt, and maybe keep that letter for myself afterwards. The idea of other people providing me with regular income looks more and more appealing. Right, so this mission seems to be taking place not long after Garrett has left the Keepers, definitely before the events of the Dark Project. And our objectives are: Tim says his letter of debt is held by Marcus, a wealthy usurer. Find an entrance into the usurer's house and recover the letter. Downlock may not look too wealthy, but you are positive you can collect at least 2400 loot this night. Don't kill unarmed people. When your other objectives have been accomplished, leave Downlock Quarter. Right. So we don't need any equipment here. I will buy this public works key. An associate swiped this key from a drunk and offers it at an advantageous price. And this tip, just to read it. Someone wants to give you some advice for a fee. Right. Let's make real save. And take a look at the map. So we start here in Short Lane, and the usurer's house, which is gonna be our first goal, is all the way on the opposite side, right here. Now, the street layout in this mission is very simple. It's basically two overlaid loops, one in the west and one in the east, and it's pretty difficult to get lost in the city. However, there are quite a few places not marked on this map, and those can be a little confusing to navigate, so as always, I'll do my best to show you how the areas connect to each other. Let's read the tip. Word is that a certain taverner on Welvin Street has grown fat and wealthy on the merchants who deal in the low courts, and was seen drinking from fine golden cups when customers were scarce. It is also said that the man is involved in dark espionage and accordingly reimbursed by powers best left undiscussed. So the golden cups this refers to can be easily found, even if you don't trade this tip, so it's not very useful, but I wanted to read it anyway. And the public works key we can use to unlock this door, which you can also lockpick if you want to. And let's read this power station note. Plemons, I received a bunch of these new lighters from the department, and sure enough, they are a waste of good money. Get this, they each cost 40, and usually burn for such an abominably short time that once you light one, you'd better start fishing for another already. And the light. That's nothing close to a decent lantern, or even those torches the poor buggers in the lower locks must endure. If at least they could be used to light things proper, but no, that's out, because once the damp gets into them, good luck trying to accomplish anything. I wonder who was the wise guy who came up with the idea, or how much he slipped to the paper pushers to get it approved. I'd bet they will be peddling off this crap to gullible taffers by the boxful in a year. Better yet, the clowns in charge of the department will stick a lit one down a barrack to check for gas leaks. I'd pay to see that. Grime. P.S. Moriarty was around this afternoon, whining as usual about the way the network in Downlock is organized. And again, I couldn't make sense of his fancy talk. Do me a favor and look him up to fix whatever he wants done this time. I left you my spare key at the station. Use it if you need to. Or actually just forget him. He's gone to talk with that guy about the underground power station, and I'm sure by the time he comes back, it'll be too late anyway. Right. Here we can strafe jump to this ledge and get our first piece of loot, gold goblet. Now I also wanna pickpocket this guy. There we go, purse, total 125. And I wanna do it right now, because he's gonna take the street up to the Coronet, which is a restaurant that our landlord frequents. And once there, he's gonna station himself and never move again. And once he does that, it is still possible to pickpocket him, but it's quite a bit more bothersome, so I like to get his purse as soon as the mission begins. The guards in the street are all neutral to us, at least for now. That's gonna change later. Next, let's hit this watch station right across from where we live. That's where our apartment is, but we're not gonna go there until much later. The guards inside the watch station are not neutral. They won't like if we break in. Under the table are 2 coins. Let's read this guard's note. No, no, and a dozen times no. It actually is a glaive Gizarmia buffin. Oris himself told me so, and if someone knows his polearms, it's him. Now pay up. When the shift's over, we're going out to arrest a few tankards. In that room there is nothing of interest.
Just my imagination, I suppose.
And then this locker is another purse, total 185. Gotta be careful of the guard in this window.
This was something.
Okay, he saw me. Let's be faster.
Oh well. Guess it was nothing. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna go up and tell him no more guard duty. He wants 6 taffy. Put my finger up and say I've had enough. That's it. That's what I'm gonna do.
The public works key can also be used on this door, and it's not pickable. So So there is no real reason not to get this key, unless you're playing Supreme and cannot get it. It's not that useful, but it does come in handy. So I've entered the tunnel here, and it took me to this dead-end street. Here we can lockpick this door. If you don't want to lockpick it, you can do some tricky jumping to get over this wall. Klatremus showed that in his video. There is a diamond here. This guard will remain neutral for the duration of the mission. We'd never have to worry about him. Let's head into this basement next. Here we're coming up on a small thieves' den. Before tackling that, it's good to make another real save. On the table are 5 coin stacks and a thieves' key, which you're gonna need later. And let's read this letter. Mifflins, I've been thinking. As good as the cellar we are now using to stash our incoming baggage looked when we set up shop, it seems less and less ideal. Yeah, it's technically two-way, with exits to downlock and beggar's take, but there are some real nasty possibilities around. There is the Hammer Seminary right across the square, and it's positively crawling with heavily armed nutbags. If something bad comes down, our advantage is nil. If we fled, we just turn into major nutbag territory. Look, I know you think I worry too much, but yesterday there was something which could have sent both of us to Craig's Cleft. I was taking a cart full of silk bales to the cellar on behalf of Molly the Spinner. Pay is decent, I have you cut in the bag that comes with the message, and cursing the bumps on the street before Marcus when the Hammerite spotted me and came over. He praised me for my industry and went on preaching sanctimoniously about the builder's virtues and progress, while my belly was traveling up and down. What's worse, he also offered the aid of a few young initiates to carry the bales up and down the stairs. It's a good thing he accepted my word about not refusing my toils, which of course shows how downright gullible and out of touch these fellas can be. But what if he persevered, and saw all that gold from the chapel spread on the table? No, I say we overstayed our welcome. Let's quietly move house to Shalebridge, where no one asks inane questions. Maybe we could also see what's the deal about the old quarter. There's gotta be something interesting around those parts. P.S. I'm away for the next few days, paying our friend Fredo and his girls a visit. You should also come next time. There is nothing like the bath to take the grime of the city out of you. Better take my offer before the mold down there gets you. One last thing. In here is an artifact in that footlocker. There we go. And I also want to read his journal. Nice new place, time for a nice new journal too. All in the Mifflin's tradition. Book, quill and ink donated by the upstanding citizens of the city as previously. Grover doesn't like the idea, but then he's not the guy working as a janitor with a bunch of time to kill when he isn't on the job. My place, my rules, my risk. Grover says it's his risk too, which is right I guess, but who would bother a nasty old coal cellar somewhere in Downlock? Rich guy keeps a bunch of empty bottles on the shelf upstairs, but that's it. Nobody likes the coal, the noise, and least of all the creepy noises from the well in the cavern. I don't know, but that isn't Burrick work, and I don't like it much either. Still, as long as it keeps to itself, so much for the better. Of course it was Tim's tip. For such an unassuming little guy, he sure pokes his nose in much, and knows all the best places in the city to visit. Could be pretty loaded by now, from the cuts he has taken, if it wasn't for his helpful pals at the Overlord's fancy. Last I heard, Garrett was pissed at him for one reason or another, and refused to pay him the agreed upon amount for a job not delivering. What's his problem anyway? Seems like a completely stuck-up creep. Doesn't get out, doesn't fraternize, just sulks and doesn't pay his friends as a professional should. Oh well, his loss and our gain. The warehouse was sure not bad. Grover had to clobber a guy with a pig sticker, but that's part of the job. We gave Timsy one of the fancy swords as a sign of our appreciation. Sure hope I never end up with him on the other side. He's fast like greased lightning when he's got steel in his hands. This is strange. Tomlinson hired new muscle to watch his front. Nasty blokes from the Downwinders, both of them. What's he keeping them for? All the local professionals buy at his shop, plus there are already 3 heavily armed guards on the property, day and night. I swear they never leave their posts unless it's to follow him someplace. Oh well, only a complete idiot would try to hit Tommy, now that so many of the old guard are leaving the scene and going legit to sell electrical stuff and whatnot. Reliable merchants are growing scarce nowadays. What are we left with? Farkas and Talon, that's what. Another night, another job. I didn't even think the lower locks could yield so fat pickings, and in a hammer chapel to boot. Hammers are nasty customers, but here it was just one decrepit old guy who went down after one solid whack of the mighty cudgel. We just had to sweep the altar for the gold candlesticks and whatnot, and then there was even time to bring back a nice little extra for all Mifflins. I'm sure none of the other folks have something like this, except maybe the wardens if they took fancy. But Webster would also never have the application of so fine things. I always thought something wasn't quite right with that guy. Now we just need some time for the buzz to die down, and sell the lot to Marcus or Cuddy, whoever pays more for it. That nosy guy from the department was here again, demanding to see the coal cellar to inspect the boxes. I see a rat when I see one, and this one was stinking from the tail to the nose. So I said they were all operational, and that there was nothing to see down here anyway. But he wouldn't relent, and raised a pretty fuss over it too, telling he'd go to Master Wilkes, go to his department, go to the watch, and I wonder why he didn't say he'd go to the Master Builder, because I was sure expecting it by that point. But something's gotta be done now, for even if Wilkes is nothing to worry about, someone else could be. So better fix this problem once and for all. And I'm not talking about the silvers he gave me neither. If he likes them underground holes, he can have them. Well, 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 so nosy guy went down the hole, which is for the best, because now hopefully whatever stuff lives down there doesn't come up. And we don't drink that water anyway. Good job, Mifflin's old chap. Onwards to better things. So I've always said, and I stand by it, that Melan is the best writer in the community, and I always enjoy his readables. That said, some of the journals in Bad Dads are way too long, and we're gonna see a few more of these.
Something's wrong.
Right, well, I've already taken everything I need in there. Now let's check out that cavern he was writing about. So we can drop down here safely. There is that nosy guy, who I also believe is Moriarty, we read about. And in here is a diamond, total 486. So that's it for the cellar, but we can also go up this ladder here. Get a bottle of wine and a plate. Over here is nothing of value, but there is a readable called Bridge Note. Subject to previous arrangements, delivery must be made within the toll and per elaboration. Recorded amounts compensated for through counter depository number 5. Notification per procuration, present location or QL, tertiary cache. Breach currently unacceptable. High possibility of lower lock interference. Tenster. Not really sure what any of this means. Then we can get down. Not like that. But like this. In a room up here are 3 coin pairs. Total of 536. And now we're coming up to the fork in the road, which would be right here. And we could go up this ladder and get into Tomlinson's, which is the weapons shop we read about in Mifflin's journal. But I'm gonna do that later, because we're gonna have an actual objective to break into Tomlinson's, and it feels a bit more appropriate to do it then. By order of Warden Webster, Beggar's Take and the lower locks are closed for the night. Anyone attempting to trespass will receive 10 strikes of the lash. Two coin stacks up here. That way is Gloom Court, which would be this. We're gonna go there a little later. And we're finally coming up on the usurer's house. So let's make another real save. Before I open up to the usurer's balcony, I wanna do a few more things out here. The downlock seminary will become important a little later. And with the Thieves key, we can get into this cellar, which we read about in the letter to Mifflin's. 3 pieces of loot, and I'll also grab a holy water vial for later. That way is where we're gonna end the mission, so we actually need the Thieves key to be able to leave the unlock once you've done everything else. So we're gonna be back here. Up here is a goblet. And I also wanna pickpocket the archer on that bridge up there. Because he is neutral for now, but he will turn hostile pretty soon. There we go. The guards inside the house are already hostile, and they can react to you being out in the street, which is a little strange. And now we can get in. Two pieces of loot in this room. A secret switch down here, which gives us access to a footlocker with a signet ring. And this door we have to pick. And the usurer is dead. So I highly suggest not reading this letter before doing everything else in this house. So let's just grab the usurer's key and the pawn shop key under his desk. The former works on all the doors up here, so we can relock that one, unlock this one. Here is another copy, and 3 coin stacks, total 958. Would be cool to have something up on those rafters, but there is nothing. Here is where we entered. And here we can pickpocket another archer. Okay, let's read this. You have deep debts, my friend, and tonight you shall pay them in full. You should have never crossed me in our dealings. Remember that? How does it feel now to stand in this study awaiting death? So a guard is gonna run up to the usurer's office, but we can bypass him easily.
We have a murderer!
Here we can get into the foyer, but there is no reason to do that. And with the pawn shop key we can get in here, grab 3 pieces of loot. There is another holy water vial. And we can leave the house this way. Okay, so still the letter of debt is now cancelled, and we have a new objective. A double cross. Tim sold you out, but to whom? Search his house on Dog's Run for evidence. Deal with him any way you like. So Dog's Run is right here, and the quickest way to get there would be to take this street, but we can't do that, and you'll see why very soon. There are also some changes to the city. All the guards are now hostile, including the usurer's guards, of course, and there are also a lot more of them, so we have to be more careful from now on.
Who's there? Oh well, back to work. Oh well, don't know what it was.
Alright, good. So now we're coming up on Klatremus's Ghost Challenge. Let's make another real save. Okay, so there is an archer, and there is another one on the balcony above. And if you played Melan's missions before, you probably know that he makes his archers extremely sensitive. So these guys are the reason we can't cross this plaza, and why we have to look for another way to Dog's Run. Now, Klatremus's Ghost Challenge number 58 is to be able to pickpocket these guys within Supreme Rules, which means no first alerts. Ironically enough, though, these guys can't even give first alerts, or second alerts. They will immediately enter combat mode if they spot you. So the only ones we have to worry about giving first alerts here are the guards patrolling the plaza. There is more. These guys don't react to sound. That's not to say they don't alert, because they do. They can be in a first or even a second alert state, but they won't give any verbal cues about that. So that's not a bust of any kind. Getting the arrows from the first guard is pretty easy. The problem here is getting back down. Let's see, do I have time to do that before this guy comes back? I don't think so, so let's just wait until he comes back and leaves. And then we'll try to rope down The second archer, by the way, we can't approach from this side. And there is one more guard, so we're gonna have to wait for him too. Okay. Don't wanna do that. So we have to plant a rope here. And now I need to retrieve it by using another rope. So that's first half of the ghost challenge. We'll get to that guy a little later. So next, I wanna enter here using the public works key. And let's make another real save. This ladder is a bit inconspicuous. And up here is a purse. The dice here is worthless. Another copy of the public works key, in case you don't want to buy one. You can get it here. And finally, Moriarty's journal. Sebastian called me into his office yesterday to discuss the recent power outages in the northern ward of Downlock district. There have been multiple blackouts as of late, and a slew of complaints from clients contracted to the department. This is all the more puzzling when we consider that Downlock is supposed to have an autonomous supply, and provide substantial outflows to Hightown and Stone Market. Sebastian's guess is a combination of internal loss due to equipment failure and/or neglectful operations, likely made worse by skimming. When he proposed an investigation, I immediately volunteered. It's going to be a fine change of pace from the usual. At least I won't have to negotiate with acrimonious hammer contractors. Besides, some extra may well come out of this if I handle the problem correctly. This is madness. Is there anybody in the department who can tolerate this sabotage? For there is no better word for what's happening in Downlock. When I interviewed the two technicians in charge of maintenance, names Clemens and Grime, they exhibited not only a total lack of interest in their duties, but also an almost absurd degree of cynicism. Not to mention how both fellows were dressed in the manner of common vagrants, and how foul-mannered Clemens was. It's no secret public works are woefully understaffed, as the Baron's wars take their toll on the coffers, but I don't believe I have ever seen yokels of this sort in the Lowlocks, let alone in a somewhat decent place like this. Even more insanity, and this time it's on another scale altogether. A series of field tests and measurements, with my unenthusiastic aids, indicate that Downlock isn't producing any excess power, and it is in fact skimming on Shalebridge's output. Organization is a complete mess. The network is divided among several sites, many of which are only accessible after lengthy and rather perilous acrobatics. I'm sure I didn't even visit all. There is bound to be at least one significant underground installation to the south. That in itself is a mystery. Why were no maps and records kept in this place? The Mouldering city plans Grime produced were of no use. In fact, I am not sure they are accurate representations of the district at all. The layout of the streets is greatly out of proportion, showing a significant north-south skew. Shoddy cartography, but at least it gives me a starting point. I have to admit, I may have been hasty in judging the man. After 2 more days of crawling around in dusty places, my own garments are showing a distinctive beggar-like appearance, not unlike the ones Clemens and Grime are wearing. Not to mention the numerous bruises and bumps I have collected when my lantern didn't illuminate some protrusion or pipe in the way. For future expeditions, I have ordered a crateful of the new flares from Crogston's. There is no reason why Downlock shouldn't get some decent equipment for a change. In any case, with one problem solved, another presents itself. After conversing with locals, I have been guided to a square right next to the Theta subjunction, where the underground facility is supposed to be located. The janitor, an unfriendly type, if there ever was one, said he would have to talk with his master before admitting me. I know a schemer when I see one, and this situation was a textbook example. In any case, let them remove the traces. Once this investigation is over, we'll just install a few more iron doors and construct a new entrance from Theta. In any case, I said I would be back in 2 days. The fellow didn't look too happy about the idea. No, he didn't look happy at all. Huh. Strange things are afoot. Armed with the flares, I braved more of the passages, and it starts to look as if the irregularities, the convoluted construction, the obfuscated accessibility may have all been intentionally designed. Carefully enough not to draw suspicion, but definitely not without forethought. My plans weren't inaccurate at all. There are indeed entire blocks in the quarter without street access. In fact, they may not be approached from any direction. I inquired at multiple addresses in the afternoon, and none could tell me anything of note. What is more, the inhabitants themselves appeared perplexed when I made mention of this irregularity. There was only one lead, an ancient street sweep who claims to have heard of a place named Keywell, supposed to be a ruined building complex hidden from sight and guarded by men of stone. I wonder if seeing square could be the key to this old wives' tale. Progress at last. Returning to our friend the janitor, I pressed him with mention of an official inquiry, and the threat worked. He has agreed to let me see the machinery in the evening, and only wanted to confirm it one more time with his master. What do you know, they must have been involved in some serious power theft if it took 2 days to return things to their proper state. But this is not all. When I handed my man a silver coin and asked if he knew anything about the hidden passages and underground chambers, he grew silent for a moment, then lit up. Said there was a place just like that under the building I will be inspecting. I could barely contain my excitement, and returned to my duties after giving him another silver. Now only to wait until night falls. I have a good feeling about what's to come. Afterwards, it may not even be a bad idea to go visit the Coronet. It looks like a prime location to relax for a while. Well, he didn't return. Now here we're gonna come to a collapsed staircase, which we can't mantle from here without stacking a few objects, but we can get to it this way. And it leads to another section of the sewer, but I'm actually gonna show it to you a little later. I wanna continue this way. Here. We can get to a room that we can't get into any other way. This door is non-operational. And here is a crystal chunk. Total 1273. Once we pass this coal cellar, we're gonna encounter 2 small spiders, but they shouldn't be a problem to sneak by. finally, we're gonna emerge above Scene Square. Right here. And behind each statue here is a passage we can take. The one we eventually have to take is that one. It's gonna lead us to Dog's Run and Tim's house. So before that, let's explore the two other passages. Now this one I don't actually have to go into. It will essentially lead us back to where we entered the sewers. But I wanna show you a couple things here. This door is not possible to open. Now we're coming up on the tunnel with a big spider. And I'm actually gonna kill him for now because I'm gonna reload. So here is that room we were in, where we picked up the crystal chunk. And eventually, we're gonna come back to this collapsed staircase. Additionally, we can get out to the street level here. Now, it's possible to get down here without using a rope arrow, but it's very finicky. You have to land on the very edge of this crate, or maybe it's this crate, I'm not sure, and then you won't take any damage and you won't make any noise. But it's very inconsistent and I won't be doing that. And this leads to the back of Tomlinson's shop. Right here. So this way we're gonna get to where we were before. And that way will take us back to Scene Square. Now it's also interesting that the sewer system is above ground here. Not sure how that works, but I always found it peculiar. And that's everything this way. Right, and next we're gonna visit probably my favorite place in the mission. Okay, right below us are 3 mines, and we have to jump over them. There we go. We won't be able to go back without disarming them, so let's do that right now. There we go. And this is Keywell, a section of town that's inaccessible. And it would be somewhere around here. So let me make another real save. Now, I know not everybody shares this opinion, but I like Bad Deaths as much as Disorientation or even Rose Garden. It's not as well executed of a mission as those two, but it does have an urban mystery vibe to it that I haven't found anywhere else. Case in point, Keywell is more intriguing to me than any of the places we visit in Disorientation. and it seems like there used to be a passage here, presumably to C in square, but then this became isolated. Maybe the keepers had something to do with that? I don't know. Regardless, this is a very cool place. Here we need just one rope arrow. And we get to a loot cache. Total 1757, and the QL note. Items of value to a total of approximately 800 if correctly liquidated. Deliver percentage number 3. Mistakes have been made with second and fourth falls between currently active areas. Abandonment is suggested at this point. Also received note of a mid-profile operation from Western Downlock. Is this verified, and if so, independent or contracted? Could it be related to M and G? If I had to guess, I'd say M and G are Mercedes and Garrett, given that both were keepers at one time. It would make sense why this note is found where it is. That said, I have been wrong with interpreting cryptic notes in Melan's missions in the past, so maybe that's not what it is at all. Now here we have to strafe jump, take it back, and that's it for QL. Finally, we get to Dog's Run. First of all, when I get a bottle of wine here, this guard is nothing to worry about. That passage I'll take later. And this is Tim's house. Before we go in, I wanna finish the ghost challenge. This door we can mantle over, but it doesn't break anything. In the fountain here are 3 coin pairs. And the guard in this underpass is neutral, but I wanna avoid any kind of settling remark from him, just to be sure I've done the challenge correctly. Okay, let's read the Highgate note. Colston, by the trickster's fiery pits. What happened to the key? Leonard says it was snatched from the table when he was having coffees, and by unknown assailants to boot. What laxity is this? Do you know what we will get from the Sir if we don't get it back by the next inspection? Demotions, that's what. To make things worse, Blunt had been drinking again, and you can hear him crowing from atop his post. That'll look nice on the sheets too, and that's if he doesn't break his neck by then. I tried to ask him about the key, but all I got was some impudent nonsense about how some cats got it. Madness. Lost keys, thieving felines, an inspection coming in 3 days. Get down to it, sort this out any way you can, and on the double. If you don't, you know what happens then. Sergeant Oris. Alright, so we have pickpocketed the guy over there. Now comes the difficult part. So to get up to this balcony, the key is speed. If you mantle from the lamppost to the walkway here, this guy shouldn't notice you. I mean, he will notice you. He's at least in the first alert state now. But he won't give any alerts, so you should be good for Supreme. Up on the ledge here is a bottle of wine. And I'm gonna use a holy water vial here to drop down silently. There we go. And now I'm gonna have to wait, because, like I said, this guy is at least in the first alert state, and if we try to go down now, he will spot us. So what I wanna do is wait for the two patrollers to come here and leave the plaza, and then I'm gonna make my move. That guy has a purse. We're gonna have to catch up to him once we're done here. Right, let's give it a go. So what you wanna do here is get onto this ledge and then crouch strafe to the crate below. You don't wanna creep crouch strafe because that's too slow, but simply crouch strafing is the most consistent way I've found.
Can't run fast.
So it's just a matter of trial and error now. And if you hear that, he's stomping his feet, which means he has seen you and he's doing his frustration motion. If he doesn't do that, it means we got it. No remarks. No motions. I think we're good. Now I just need to get by this guard.
Nothing I...
There you have it. Ghost challenge number 58 completed. Now where is that guy with the purse? He's all the way over there. Okay, well, I guess I can show you the scene square. So this way will take us back to Tomlinson's. I need to go there. Let's grab his purse. Total 1892. Over here is supposedly the brick-top access to Keywell. And I'll explore this part of the city a little later.
What it was. What's there?
For now, let's get back to Tim's house. On the porch is Tim's key, which is not found here until you get this objective, which is why I said it doesn't matter that you can mental over this door. You still won't be able to get into Tim's house, which does bring up a point. I personally love the way this mission unfolds. It has an active story, with new objectives being added, and the challenge in the city ramping up little by little. And we would see the evolution of these ideas in missions like Into the Odd, you know, a decade later. But in Bad Deaths, it does mean that on your first playthrough, you might end up going to places where you're not supposed to go yet, and then backtrack to them, which can be a little annoying. Now, in this particular case, it does make sense, because if you come here before visiting the usurers, Tim's won't be here, so it's like he was out for the night. Now he's back, he has dropped off his key, so it's believable. But it definitely is a mission that gets better on repeat playthroughs when you know in what order you should be doing things. Around the staircase are 2 live mines. Here is the first one. And the second one. And then, of course, there is Tim's himself to worry about. And in this room there is a bunch of loot.
I thought I saw something.
And a journal. I saw Brewster yesterday on the gallows, there among the thieves, in his black coat. He looked bitter now, not like when he threatened to sell me in, while his whore was tied with his collar. Brewster, always the confident man, could never imagine he wasn't perfect for a job. Any job. Even for a job involving a powerful judge's palace in Hightown, aswarm with guards. Perry gave him the tip I wanted to sell to someone else. Perry was just the first to cash it, and who could fault him? Yet on the same day Brewster received his tip, so did the judge. Quite a dramatist, it is said he received his guest in a toga, even prepared a mock trial. A trial, not bad. I think not even Brewster thought he'd get a trial when it would be his turn. Heard not even guildsmen get a trial these days. Only the tie or the block. Unless it's hammer business, and that isn't better at all. And then here is Mifflin's. Mifflin's and his good pal Grover. They're going to hand one day, no matter how clever Mifflin's thinks himself, but not yet, not likely. Too small, and they've got the sense not to got the hands that hold them like Brewster did. Or Garrett. Just like Brewster, with twice the self-righteousness and half the decency. Garrett, laughing when he heard about the patrician's illicit mint, but checking anyway. And after that, not a coin, not a word, just slander on the street about the job not delivering. All haughty too. Who's he, some warden? In this line of work, there are always strange customers. Here is the newest one, Tommy the armorsmith, wishing to see a cobbler from Dog's Run when he had never bought leather there previously. Tommy, 2 of his guards behind his chair, not saying a word, just laughing when I suggested a new boot. Then he said he wanted to know about the guy who tried to rob a friend of his, producing a bag of shiny new coins. There have been no new coins since Blackbrook took those mines back in who knows when, and here he was placing them on the table, one after the other. Did I know who tried to rob his friend? Of course I did. But Tommy didn't stop. He started the talk, all strange eyes, offering me the golden coins or nuggets, whichever I wanted. Where did they get nuggets anyway? And not just that. When I told him who did the job, he just nodded in assent. Yes, of course, he thought so. And could I set it up so a certain moneylender was removed from the district at the same time? Of course I could. And he nodded at the guards and smiled. They looked disappointed. 2 weeks. After that, the gold, all that gold, and an alibi if I'd need one. It could be arranged that a friend of his, a local property owner, would testify after the killing that I had been drinking with him all along in the coronet, as if they let me in and there otherwise. Well, that's most of it. Of course, a good alibi is a good insurance, but in this line of work, it's better to have more than one. So Tommy, I'm sure, did not object to my watching his business most carefully for a bit. Turns out he likes guests, and not just this landlord guy, but many more, always making sure to buy something before leaving. I saw when one was hurrying away, he dropped a small package. Couldn't investigate, because Tommy was already on it, paler than moonlight, scurrying back to his shop like a thief. Sure, he had his reasons, and sure that if those reasons became known, someone high up would take note. Implicit in murder and conspiracy? Not my idea of a conclusion. It's sure as the builder himself, Brewster didn't enjoy it. Found dead in a sewer? Not appealing either. What I need is a good alibi or two. The thief who robbed me will yield one, and Tomlinson's house another. He's away in business, and the guards should be asleep. Only the two plotting killers out by the storefront. But who needs the storefront when I can have it that much better? Well, Timms, you should have been a novelist instead of pursuing the life of crime. I'll tell you that much. So now, we have completed this objective, and we get 2 new ones. So Tomlinson the Armorer was behind this. It appears Mr. Tomlinson is hiding something important. Break into his shop, and if you find something interesting, deliver it to the appropriate authorities. Tomlinson was aided by your landlord. Steal the key to his apartment and rob him of his belongings. One of his precious collectibles will do. So, like I said previously, we could have broken into Tomlinson's pretty much as soon as the mission started and gotten the item we need. But our landlord only appears in the mission once we get these objectives, and we're gonna find him at the coronet. So that's gonna be my next goal. So now we're done with Timms's house. Let's climb back up. Now I can't close this, the lever is a bit too far away. That underpass leads back to the scene square, so we are right here now. And down here is a courtyard that we can't get into from the streets. This is the only way to get in there. Also, on the window there is a key, which I had no idea even existed until I watched Klatremus's video. And that key unlocks a gate in this plaza, and you can use that to leave the mission once you've done everything else. But of course we can't do that for Ghost because of our 2 archer friends. So that key isn't even needed for anything. And down here there's no loot, but there is a readable. Scribblings. They thought I was mad. Mad! Yes. All the rich lords in the city, all the fat merchants, my foolish colleagues, even the little old lady across the street. They all thought I was mad. But it was just an idea before its time. And one day, oh yes, one day they will see the light. All will see the light, yes, every single one of them. Even the fools at the academy who laughed at my plans and had me thrown out from my cathedra. And yet, it is all simple. Oh, so simple. Even a Lockwood could see. Consider, are safes and chests, money boxes, and even the stone vaults of the Baron secure from the thieves and robbers who prowl the city? Are they? No, they are not secure at all. But the fools refuse to see it. They put all their valuable possessions in chests which can be forced open or unlocked, or crates which can be carried away in the night. And what is the answer? Why, huge crates, naturally. And what else? They cannot be opened, and they don't fit any regular doorway, which means they cannot be easily removed from a room, or even a cellar. In fact, the specimen I have constructed with great care, and at considerable expense, made it even be opened in this space. This is it. A solution to society's ills, and a road to happiness. The fools. They laughed. How they laughed. They spurned me, they rejected me, they talked behind my back, they took from me my tenure and refused to publish my pamphlets. But they cannot blot out the light forever. They cannot keep us in the darkness much longer. One day, yes, one fateful day, it will all become clear to everyone with eyes to see and ears to listen. And then they will also remember the early pioneer, the unsung man their narrow minds failed to comprehend, the genius they just called that crazy crate guy. They will remember it all. I will show them. Oh yes, I will show them. The crazy crate guy is my favorite character in all of Melan's missions. I love this guy. Now here is a door we can't open from this side, and this says, "The sorcerer's Carmen gates. Bother his entombment not, for he who falls from righteousness shall doubtless rise up against his judgment." Over here we can get down to the street, get a ring on our way down. Total 22. Right, that's where we have to go. But back here is a little room. We can't get in from the street, so we're gonna have to find a different way in there. Okay, let's make another real save. There is the coronet. We're gonna get to it pretty soon. First, I wanna get in here, which is Scarmangate's tomb. Another one of my favorite places in the mission. I think even more so than Keywell, because Keywell is kind of obscure, it's hidden from view, but this tomb just sits in the middle of an inhabited quarter, which is very strange and very creepy and really cool in my opinion. What you wanna do here is shoot an arrow at the sarcophagus below. It's gonna spawn this guy, or we can pickpocket. In the attic here, you can remove the crate and rope down. And now we're in this room that we saw earlier. 3 pieces of loot, total 2447. That checks off our loot goal. And this pub here is what was mentioned in the tip we got at the beginning. The guard here has the pub key, and the golden cups that were mentioned in the tip are up here, along with the gold plate. Total 2547. So yeah, not that useful of a tip really.
Odd noise!
Okay, the coronet guards we don't have to worry about. These guys were in gold uniforms, they are neutral to us. This archer obviously isn't. And in the coronet, you can see the guy who pickpocketed at the very beginning. So if you don't do that, you have to walk up behind him. That's easy to do because he's neutral. But then you have to wait for him to forget about you before you can actually get his purse.
Been here only a few months.
Which can be a little annoying.
Get away with it pretty
I can get in here using the public works key, but there is no need. There is nothing of value in there. What I want to do instead is enter the coronet through the vent here. Right, there is our beloved landlord. He is hostile to us, so we have to worry about him. And he has the key we have to pickpocket, and there is also a bottle of wine in here. That's pretty much it. And here is another vent with a ladder going down. There is a base. We can rope up even further. And there are two exits here. That's where we entered the coronet. We don't have to go here. But I want to go this way. Right, in here is a cloud of red mist, and in there is a rain. If we take that, it's gonna spawn a hunt right on top of us, who's gonna bust us right away. However, if we use a holy water vial, we can destroy that cloud. And if we grab the rain now, the hunt will die as soon as he spawns. That is still a bust to ghost, because it's technically a kill. But I can't help myself. I want all the loot in the mission. But if you're playing and strictly adhering to ghost rules, you have to skip this rain. So that will be my only ghost bust in the mission. The Nightly Visitor and Other Lurid Tales. Behind the banner here is a money box with a necklace. Total 2947. And the easiest way to get down to the street here is to jump to this bridge. I actually made it. I didn't have to reload. And now I didn't. But what you want to do is catch it mid-jump and then release your jump key to fall down.
God, I'm bored.
Right, so now we can break into the landlord's room. And get his money.
Someone making noise?
Over there, a new guard has spawned, and he is strange. Because just like the archers we had to deal with for the ghost challenge, he doesn't first or second alert normally, he will immediately come charging at you. If he notices you.
They're making noise now.
Looks like nothing.
It's not impossible to avoid alerting, of course, but he is tricky. Alright, let's make our probably final real save. And this is our room, actually, but there is nothing in there for now. And in the landlord's room, there is a bunch of loot. And 2 of these loot pieces will accomplish this objective. So that fire poker is 1, there is also a rug, and a footlocker here. No reason not to steal them both, of course, for a total of 33.82. Here is Landlord's ledger, and Talbot is Garrett, and you can see that at one point the rent doubles. And here are the Landlord's notes. Finally found a new tenant for the hallway room. Name Melan, no recommendations or known warden, but clean and respectful. Why is it that those who inhabit the most affordable premises are in turn the most reluctant to pay their dues? In any case, I'm clear of Cranor and good riddance. That idiot Wedway has done it again. The cheapness of the gin and the manner in which he had disposed of it speaks clearly of his character. Street scum, all of them. 50 coins for the new carpet. At least the merchants in Stone Market are reasonable. The new fire poker arrived this day. It is just like I had spotted it at the usurer's. The wait was inexcusable, but the fellow insisted he would have to take the customary time. Huh, as if his clients could pay the margins he asks. At last I found out more about this Talbot character, while haggling for a valuable ancient brazier I have been considering for a time. It was not hard to observe a friend entering the usurer's shop, looking nervous for trouble. I swear, he jumped a little when he saw me, right as he was unloading 2 golden candlesticks on the counter. Talbot, or shall we say Garrett, proved surprisingly malleable. He accepted his new rate without a blink. Clearly a hardened criminal of his type shouldn't complain. After all, the risk of harboring fugitives is considerable, above all taking into account the watch station across the courtyard. It is unlikely I could get to Marcus, as he must pay premium to a warden, probably Reuben or Reputo. Finally bought the brazier for a steal, and a purse of incense from that little shop down Beggar's Stake. It is hard to express what filth accosts one who would brave those streets. Nevertheless, the day's labor's over, a hot bath and a few hours of gentle relaxation are at hand. Acquired the bottles of wine, not much time before all would have been gone. I am positive it was the last batch, and to think someone else could have ended up with it. I need to tell Tomlinson what he missed. I can hardly believe there was a time when I was drinking the sort of swill being served in low-class taverns. Standards change with fortunes, I suppose. Who knows, I might even try to find a suitable wife someday. Garrett agreed to the latest raise. I wonder if I could go a little further still, maybe 800? Better wait a few months in any case. There is no reason to be foolhardy. If I raise in Wedway next month and Melan after, I can still afford that new painting, and maybe even some other bauble if I bargain right. Tomlinson's proposal is another interesting possibility. I will lose a steady revenue source, but the payout will allow me to move against Flatter and corner the downlock market. Either way, the painting can be had sooner or later, through the appropriate channels. I wonder if our new acquaintance will be up to it. I will need to ponder the question. Alright, time to relocate. And now there is a glyph here. Beyond. Foreverness or Foundation. In case you're wondering what this is, if you remember the final cutscene of the Dark Project, after the Trickster is defeated, spoilers, Keeper Artemis asks Garrett if he can still read the glyphs, and Garrett replies, "I try to forget, but you keepers leave them everywhere for me." So that's what it is. And it looks like Garrett is already starting to forget because he couldn't quite read this second glyph. And there's also a message here from the keepers, obviously. My friend, yet again you are in a disagreeable predicament. The gear returns, the forest whispers, and the young student has once more found himself trouble. Were you not outwitted this time by a lowly street rat of all things? Was it not you who had reprimanded his mentors for refusing to look? And where are you presently, master of thieves? Is the blood of a man upon your name enough remedy for your conceit? Or are you in need of yet more lessons? Perhaps you should reconsider. Why be blinded by shallow loves and material desires when much more could be in your hands? Are you content living on the streets, stealing from others to chase dreams that remain ever unfulfilled? Was it not this very life you wished to cast away when our path first crossed? Or are you still awaiting the one who would finally recognize you for a master of unmatched ability? Is base flattery the extent of your imagination? But perhaps that is your true lot, to wallow in self-pity and escape the responsibilities of a grown man. Surely we have provided you with more than any other, and where are the thanks? They are nowhere. You are never at peace, but there is always someone around to blame, and that is us, your patient benefactors. Here then is the implement of your freedom, Prince of Naught, as a token of our amends for transgressions that never were. Maybe you can make something out of it, or maybe not. Can you read the glyphs still, or has vanity already robbed you of your once impeccable vision?
Hear anything now?
That I see. Just rats again.
Good. One last thing to do, and that's to raid Tomlinson's shop. Here are 2 coin pairs. Department of Public Works, Downlock Ward Division, Theta Tarsus 2 Subjunction. Warning, dangerous conditions, do not throb. Right, we can use this vent. Enter. Getting down here is a little finicky. What you wanna do is land on that banner, but that's not 100% consistent because you can still lose some health. Like that. Here we go. In the shop there is nothing of value. And there are 2 guards here, so we have to crouch creep. This guy has a purse. In this room is a vase and the armorer's key. And up on the rafter here are 2 nuggets. 3587. Okay, in this chest is what we're after. The Book of Smesh. The Book of Smesh being an inquiry into the mysteries of the Lady of the Woods and the arts of the Honeymaker Beast by Algernon M. Tomlinson, Advocate. Fills you the decanter with glee, fills you the merry cup with dreams, fills you the memories with mirth, fills you the glades with sin, fills revenant gullets with the fleshes and bloods of takers and hammerers, forgets the beams and forgets the toils, forgets the roofs and forgets the rules, forgets the whos and forgets the no's, forgets the wives and forgets the childs, shouts the pleasures of the ladies and shouts the wisdoms of the honeymaker beasts, dancers and takers and frolics and sings, covers in shouty fever with pistaces and greensy trees. Well, I'm sure Hammerites would be glad to receive this. And how convenient for us, there is a Hammerite seminary pretty much next door. Now, if you're raiding this shop earlier in the mission, you can easily get out this way. because that archer would not yet be there. But now that he is, he will definitely spot us, trying to get out this way. So we can't do that. It's not a problem though, because we can use Tomlinson's back door. Here we are. Remember this place?
Something there. Oh well. Looks like it's nothing. I'm getting too jumpy.
This archer has a purse.
Hello? Anyone there?
Who's there?
Doesn't have any arrows.
Noise now. Thought I saw something.
And now we can enter Gloom Court. Seamus A. Blatt, solicitor. Give generously for the builder's plan. So that completes our final objective, and we can leave. The priest here has a pickpocket, and that's also gonna be our last piece of loot in the mission. There we go, 36, 82, that's all we can get.
What was that I heard? I would not have thought that rats would dare their teeth against the builder's house. Who passes there?
And like I said, we can use the cellar, accessible with the Thieves key, to escape the unlock, which is why I like doing this objective last. It's pretty much where we have to end the mission anyway. There we go. Mission complete in 52 minutes, 22 seconds. Found all the loot, 3682, picked all 12 pockets, and picked 8 locks. Alright, thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed this. Up next, I'm gonna play Disorientation again. So I'll see you guys soon, and take care for now.